What's up, everybody? It's your brother from another hardcore lover, Sammy from CameraLegend.com, back with you with another video. I do want to make an apology for the inactivity. Just like many of you, I have other things in life to tend to, and besides, I wouldn't want to clog up all this wonderful space with useless videos unless I had something interesting for you. But let's face it, camera lovers, if you're a hardcore camera lover, there is no such thing as an uninteresting camera, now is there? Alright, so in this video we're going to be looking at a camera that's described as the first true Polaroid camera in over 20 years, and that is the impossible I-1 instant camera. Now, I made an unboxing video. I usually don't make unboxing videos, but since this was the first camera that I bought new in a long time, I decided to do it. So let's take a look at the unboxing, and afterwards I'll give you some operational tips and thoughts on the camera.
Okay guys, welcome to my Impossible Project I-1 unboxing video. So I got this thing brand new. I generally don't buy new, but this one was too good to pass up. It says $149 here, but I got it for $99. And if you guys remember, they were going for $300. So at that time, I wasn't even considering it, but at $99, that's a good deal. Let's give you guys a look at the box. It's already right there. All right, you guys ready? Let's do it. See what it says right there. Analog instant camera. Oh, there she is. There she is. There she is. The Impossible Project I-1 instant camera.
Let's take a quick look at the basic operations of the Impossible I-1 instant camera. First, a word about the build quality. Even though it seems to be all plastic, well, I had this thing for a couple of months and it seems pretty durable and surprisingly resistant to scratches, but it's got a kind of surface where it picks up oil quite easily from your hands or your nose or whatever, so keep that in mind. Okay, so when you first see the camera, this part where it acts as a flash, it also acts as a frame counter, which lights up in white and tells you how many frames you got left. Keep in mind that with the Impossible films or Polaroid original films, you have about 8 exposures, so that's gonna go pretty quick. Okay, anyway, on the right side of the camera is your main power button and dials. So right here, if it's on 0, it's actually in the off position, but I found that with this camera, even though it's off, if you press it, the light still comes on, it actually still lights up. So keep that in mind, and maybe that might be one of the reasons why people complain that it drains battery. I don't know, because it's never really completely off. Turn it right here, and that's where, in the middle, with that circle right there, that's when the camera is actually on and ready to shoot. And you'll press this right here. And when you turn it here and you see this little thing that looks like a flash, is actually that's actually the mode, Bluetooth mode, which is why you see that light up in blue right there. Okay, turn it off. So you want to put film into this camera right here. Just slide it, pop it open. Now, obviously this is empty, but usually when the film comes, it has one of these things on top of it, which is, has some really cool stuff that they write. Man can believe the impossible, but man can never believe the improbable. Anyway, you'll slide it right here, Take a look. Just slide it in like that. Then the camera will be ready to go. Okay, but in this case, usually it spits out this thing right here, but since there's no film, it's not going to work. Also, I want you to keep in mind there's this little flap thing, like a little flap comes out with the film. Just want you guys to know, because I've heard some people try to cut that off. That's actually a part of the camera, and it helps to shield the extraneous light from the film. So do not damage that. Do not cut it off. Okay. Turn it this way. When you compose a shot, you're gonna do it through this thing right here. This is not a real, through the lens type viewfinder. It's actually, I don't know if some of you guys remember, but it's more reminiscent of the old school sports finders that you see on the old cameras. So what you do is, it says push, so you actually have to push it in, and it comes up. In the beginning, when I first got this, was having a little trouble with it because I wasn't doing it right. It was like, wouldn't come. Just push it in, slow, gently, and it'll come up. Then you can see through it like that. Now, when you look inside, there's like a little bullseye type circle. I think you can see it right there. And I mean, it's not the best kind of framing, but in all honesty, it works pretty well. If you got your subject in the center, like around the sides, it should be fairly accurate. So I wouldn't worry about it so much. But I mean, I do wish they had put in a real viewfinder in there, but it actually works well. Now, some people have mentioned this thing coming off because it's held by a magnet. It hasn't happened to me, but you might want to keep that in mind. And that's basically it. I mean, the operations. Oh, here on the side you got the flash. If you want to force the flash, you could keep it right there. Otherwise, sometimes I don't want the flash, I'll take it off. On this side here, you got the classic Polaroid lighten and darken type. That'll give you at least some kind of control over the exposure, even though the camera is pretty much automatic. Okay, as I said, this camera relies on a built-in battery, and you need to charge it up if you use it often. Right here is a USB port. It comes with two black cables. One is a charging cable, and one is seems like a data transfer type cable. I made the mistake of using that cable to charge it up the first time, and it looked like it wouldn't charge at all. And then I used the charging cable, and it actually charged, despite the fact that they both look almost the same. So maybe that might be one of the reasons why people initially reported that the battery wouldn't charge. I don't know, but that's what happened to me. So keep that in mind. So make sure that you're actually using the right cable, the correct cable for charging. I find that this camera, if you leave it for a couple of days, 2 or 3 days, the battery's gonna go pretty low. And if the battery is low, if it still has sufficient charge, it will take a picture, but the flash might not discharge. So I've wasted a few shots that way. So keep that in mind. If you're going on a trip, make sure you bring that cable. Or if you're gonna go out for the afternoon and the camera's been sitting for a couple of days, I would definitely charge it up. For me, it takes about a couple of hours or an hour and a half to get a full charge. It depends on how much charge you have left, I guess. If you go into the app store, there's a very cool app for this camera, made by Impossible, and it's gonna connect with Bluetooth. So what you want to do is you want to turn it to the Bluetooth indicator that I showed you earlier. Then after that, you'll see that it hooks up. Some cool stuff that you can do. Got a remote trigger, a manual mode, which is what I like. Self timer, double exposure, noise trigger, I don't know what that is. Light paint, color paint, scanner. Honestly, I've not tried all this, but it's good to know that you have it, which is definitely something. I don't know any other Polaroid camera that has all this stuff. But in all honesty, as an old school shooter, I don't think I'll be using this stuff all that much, although I did use the manual mode. If you're somebody that leaves the camera on a tripod at home, this is going to be great. but like most Polaroid folks, if you're taking your camera out, I don't think you'll be using it all that much. Although it's great to know that you have it, and I could see this being useful out in the field with a tripod, things like that. All right, let's take a look at some samples from the Impossible I-1. You know, they're not works of art, just quick snapshots that I took to test the camera, but at least it should give you some idea of how the camera does. Okay, so I've had this camera for a couple of months, and you know, I like it. I like it a lot. I will say that I think that this camera is an enigma, or at least a curiosity to a lot of people. I suspect that a lot of you guys like me, when this thing first came out a few years back, you probably saw the funky lights and said, gotta have it. And then you saw the near $300 price tag and you're like, oh, maybe not. And that's what happened to me. So then you start reading the bad reviews, because the initial reviews were pretty bad, and you know, decided to skip it altogether. That's what I did. And to be honest with you, I hadn't even thought about this camera until I came across it and saw the $99 price. And I said, you know what, it might be worth a try, and I'm glad I got it. So like I said, you know, if you're getting one of these cameras, if you're a Polaroid diehard, you know the deal. But if you're new to it, keep in mind that shooting instant film, especially for Polaroid cameras, is not cheap, because for this camera in particular, the films start at $15.99 a pack, and that adds up real quick. You'll only get about 8 exposures, and keep in mind that when you first get the camera, it's probably going to take you at least 3 packs until you begin to hit your stride with it. So you know, don't be discouraged by initial results if it's not good. Just keep at it. But you know, at $15.99, that's a factor. You know, the price is a factor for the film. I mean, you know, I wish that it would be cheaper, and maybe someday it'll get cheaper, but I do have to give Impossible Polaroid Originals credit for actually keeping this alive. So, you know, in some ways, this shouldn't even be here. So, you know, keep that in mind. So if you're into Polaroids, or even if it's a curiosity to you, I think the $99 price is actually a good thing. I mean, if you look around, it's not $99 everywhere. You're probably going to see it at $150, $130, $120. Still a good deal, I think. Like I said, it's going to take practice, but you will eventually get it. Okay, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope it helps you out if you have one of these cameras, or if you're curious about buying one of them. If you have this camera, you want to leave a comment, I would love to hear from you. If you have any operational tips, I would also love to hear from you. I don't know everything about this camera. You know, as I said, I only had it for 2 months, but if you know something that I don't know about this camera, I would love to hear from you. Thanks again so much for your time, your patience, your support, and I'll see you guys next time on CameraLegend.com. Oh, by the way, somebody asked me, what's my name? I said, my name is Sammy. They said, what's your last name? X.